What is good, everyone? This is the All Facts Podcast again. I'm your host, Haris Vikar, and this is another episode on the future. The future is where I call seasoned professionals from every single industry, and I like to interview them to see how the people think of the future and how their careers align with the future in their vision. And here I have my good Latvian friend, Girts Ledins. I couldn't say that right in the Latvian way, but that's how I'm gonna say it. I'm sorry. And
That's
yeah,
pretty
care to
nice.
introduce yourself, Garrett
Hey, Iris. Yeah, thank
Ledins.
you. Thank you.
There we go.
Yes, yes, there you go. Yeah. Hey, Iris, thank you for inviting me, and I'm really glad to be here. And hey, listeners. Yeah, my name is Girts Ledins, as Harris said, and I'm from Latvia. That's a small country in Baltic states, and hopefully you will learn something more a bit about Latvia and our tech scene here. So yeah, happy to be here and looking forward to a nice discussion.
And if you don't know Garrett's here, he is a Latvian entrepreneur, and he's also a business advisor and consultant, and he's a massive Boston Celtics fan. I like screw the Boston Celtics, but he's a fan because Kristaps Porzingis is the first Latvian to ever win a championship. So that is a celebratory thing for your country. So congrats on that.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, it is. It was a big. It wasn't like a big celebration, but still, I think all the Latvians are proud what Porzingis did. So you yourself know how hard it is to actually win a
Yes.
championship NBA. So it's a great yeah great achievement, I will say. Yeah.
A great achievement. So, Garrett, as I mentioned, you are a entrepreneur and you are a consultant in that sense. So, can you please tell me more about your journey and how you actually came through these ideas and how you actually really executed on them?
Sure. Yeah. I think I will start right from the beginning, and my background is a little bit mixed from different things. I started my career in as a tax consultant in Deloitte, so I spent there for the tax department 2 years, and while I found international tax structuring a pretty interesting thing, but the overall tax sector didn't fully align with my passions, then I realized that I need to do something else, and I switched myself to a different department in Deloitte, which was financial advisory services, where I worked on M&A deals, due diligence, company evaluations. I actually love the work. I love the thing what the finance world gave me there. But as you know, I don't know how it is right now in Deloitte, but at that time, Deloitte was known for its demanding workload and relatively low pay. So given the
Really?
reputation, yeah, yeah,
I
the
think
pay was
maybe it's
really.
different for the European Union.
Maybe, but I think for the juniors, because I was a junior consultant, then I stepped up for I was consultant then senior consultant, and but still the pay was relatively low if you compare with industry companies. But one thing what was really mm, I will not say cool, but actually Deloitte is pretty good like a school. You can learn a lot
Hmm.
of things really fast, and the reputation for the big four firms is quite good. And I received frequently like different job offers, and I was really hot on the market. So that actually led me to my next step in my career. I got an offer from a new fintech company, which was in Latvia, specializing in subprime car leasing. And this opportunity was, I would say, too significant to pass up on, and that marked my beginning of my 7 year career in fintech industry. So it ended up. Long story short, it ended with my last position was as a CEO of one Estonian technological bank in Latvia, and yeah, I was
Yes.
I was the part of executive team, and I got also a share options. Then successfully, I lived all my vesting period, and I sold my shares. And at that time, I was ready to pursue my own ventures. And yeah, I had actually previously have like different entrepreneurial experience before, but they were with different outcomes. One company actually got busted; it went to bankruptcy. The other another one, which also was in subprime leasing, we had, I would say, like extravagant shareholder structure, and
Okay.
some of the, yeah, some of the shareholders, they were pretty intense, and they were like micromanaging all the executive team. So yeah, we actually all the management sold their shares to the shareholders, and we exited the company. But that was a like
Oh,
long time ago. It was like 9 years
yeah.
ago. So yeah, that was previously I actually managed this Estonian technological bank. But long story short, yeah, I sold my option shares. I got a little bit of money, so I now I could like pursue my own ventures, as I said, and I was intended to do that without any capital investors,
Hmm.
especially from the beginning. And yeah, and I had a friend. I did know that I want to do something internationally, and in Latvia there isn't like a much options what you can do internationally.
Obviously, yeah.
Either you're going in fintech or in tech, or you need to like, I don't know, you need to sell wood, and because we are like pretty big wood exporters. But I didn't know how to get
Oh,
to the wood, so I decided I will stick with the tech. And my old friend was he was 15 plus years a developer. He started in biggest telco company in Latvia here as a junior developer, and his last position there was head of the department, the engineering department. And we somehow we met, and we started to discuss what we actually want to do, something new, and build something new. Our discussion ended up with pretty traditional, I would say, service, as it is like custom software development. And previously we had experience with the service, he in his telco company, and I was experiencing that in all the fintechs. But our like common thinking was that in Latvia, especially the custom software development from customer service perspective is in pretty low quality, and that gave
Latvia.
us like, yeah, in Latvia, yeah,
Oh,
because
wow.
well, what I meant by that is actually, for example, sometimes the project starts, it goes its own way, but at some point you actually do not know what's the status of the project. You cannot get on a call with the project manager. You don't know how much it will, at the end of the day, how much will it will cost to you. So all those like communication problems, at least we were facing them previously. So that made us think that okay, there's maybe a place in the market, because it's pretty competitive market also in Latvia and worldwide. So that makes us think that there's like a place for one more player, which explicitly focuses on customer service and gives like
Yeah.
really good customer experience to our clients. And that was like a one cornerstone for why we actually established Cognity, because we wanted to give a pretty good customer experience for our clients. And yeah, the other thing was that as I previously told you, Latvia hasn't like Latvia do not have like many natural resources to export.
Yeah.
The only thing we're exporting wood, as I told you. But the another thing, what Latvia has, we have like pretty, I would say, mm, pretty high intellectual capacity, because Latvia has many smart, uh, intellectually capable people and hardworking people. That is also true, and they are really hardworking. Many companies had understood that like 20 years ago, and they are like making and establishing shared service centers here in Latvia, R&D centers here in Latvia. But the thing is that all the value added, uh, which our people is making in those places, all the value is being transferred to the headquarters of those companies, and they are not in Latvia. They are in, I don't know, in US
Yeah.
and Scandinavia, in Germany, in UK. So that made us think that okay, this situation is maybe not so good, and we need to try understand how can we consolidate all the intellectual capacity here in Latvia and do the selling outside Latvia, actually to move that all the value which we are capable of making to move that all value back to Latvia. So there are several. I think there are several in Eastern Europe. There are several companies which did that, and for example, one is EPAM Systems, and they are originally from Belarus, but right
I
now
see.
they're publicly listed in New York, and I think their headquarters are in Texas in Dallas. So what they did in 1990s, they actually consolidated that intellectual capacity in Belarus, and they opened different branches in Western countries, and they started to sell their services there as they had like really good developers and engineers. So right now it's a really big company, and that is like a etalon also for us, and we look up on that company, and we hope that someday the Cognity Group will also be something like that. That's of course aspirational for us, but we
Yeah.
hope that will be some days our company. But yeah, long story short, Cognity Group isn't only about like custom software development, because at the
Hmm.
start we already know that we will that the custom software development, it gives us like a steady revenue stream, which allows us to invest in our own products without need of external investors. So as you remember, when we met in Toronto, we were like presenting our new platform Talzi,
Yes.
and yes, and that is a platform that is actually a spin-off from Cognity Group, because we are doing these little bets and trying to build MVPs, and with those MVPs we are trying to find product market fits. So this cash flow from Cognity allows us to put those bets, and Talzi is the first like a tangible result from that strategy with which we have in Cognity Group. And basically, that platform helps Western companies to connect with Eastern Central Europe tech talent. It's similar like mm, it's this there is the sector employer of record. Maybe you know these companies as
Yeah.
Deal, Remote Oyster. But we do a little bit differently. We also have like an infrastructure in all those Eastern and Central European countries. And we also provide some additional value. We find the talent, we communicate with the talent, we do soft managing with the talent. Because Deal and Remote, it's only like an infrastructure. They're providing entities in all of the countries in the world.
Obviously, yeah.
So yeah, so if I don't know if for example Microsoft wants to hire somebody from Singapore or Malaysia or I don't know Latvia,
Latvia.
they yeah they can use Deal, but at the end of the day they need to find the talent themselves. So we believe that we will actually add additional value from the big database of talents we have, and we will try to connect those companies with the talents here in Eastern and Central Europe. So that is the long story
Wow.
about me and how I ended up right now where we are. And currently, Talzi is actually a separate company from Cognity, and we have
Yeah.
Cognity Development, and Talzi, but it's under one roof, which is Cognity Group.
That is a bit inspiring because you did talk about what Latvia really specializes in, especially in labor and what they really do overall as a country? As there, you did mention it's mainly in in fintech and just wood labor work. So now that I'm wondering, so it actually creates this entire whole new spectrum. What you really did, you really just saw this problem and you said, okay, the way I'm really gonna work it is from using my background and what really is something Latvia kind of needs in this moment. You see that you're not really that specializing in what they actually have, so you decide to actually build something new there, which is all what you told me what Latvia actually really is about. There's not much to do there, so all you want to do is really innovate. And from your story, it seems that you have done that. But now it kind of begs the question for me, how would you actually describe the current state of Latvia's economy, and what are the key factors that drive the growth and present new challenges, especially from what you see in your businesses and what is and if how your business kind of stays for the country.
Yeah, just to add to the previous your comment, I think Latvia is not only about the wood and tech sector. I think we have a lot of other companies which are here. We have a Mikrotikos, they're producing these Wi-Fi routers actually, and I think
Oh,
it's one of the most valuable companies we have in Latvia, and a lot of people use those routers. Yeah, we have Printful. It's a unicorn. Actually, they are in an industry print on demand industry. It's our only unicorn currently. There are a couple of
wow.
companies which are also moving to the unicorn status, but currently, yeah, Printful is I think one of the most successful companies here in Latvia. But we have
No,
a lot of
okay.
companies in different niches. It's not only like about the wood and
Yeah,
agriculture, because
obviously.
agriculture also is a pretty strong industry here in Latvia. But it's yeah, it's a lot of companies here. But to continue on your question. Latvia, of course, is a small country, and we are, as I told, located in Baltic states. Our neighbors are
Yes.
Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Lithuania. Then some more maybe unfortunate neighbors as Russia and Belarus. So this gives a bit of geopolitical complexity to our economical
Yes.
situation. But regarding current situation, I think we need to go back in 2008 when the great financial crisis hit Latvia.
Yes.
It was particularly hard. We experienced a severe real estate bubble at that time, and uh, the collapse of that made, I think the GDP drop was over 30%. And if you put it in that perspective, if you compare with other countries, for example, the US, I think US only experienced in the Great Depression of 1929 when
Yes.
something similar numbers came up in the US. So yeah, at that time, unemployment, I think, skyrocketed to above 20%, and many people faced bankruptcy here. Unlike in the US, where you can just walk away from your mortgage debt and just give keys of your house and you are free of debt. In Latvia, that doesn't work that way. In
Really?
Latvia, yeah, in Latvia, people, most of the, not most of the people, but a lot of people lost their homes, and still they had like a significant debt to banks because they're selling
Hmm.
your house, they're like reducing that from the loan amount, but still, if there's like a debt remains, then they are like repossessing, and still you are in debt to the bank. So yeah, this. I think this like depression in Latvia at that time, it gave a wave of immigration because a lot of Latvians moved to other countries which could provide jobs for them, like
Yeah.
UK and Ireland, and that was at that time the best options. So why I'm telling all this, because that led to the, I think we were like that was like a big trauma for our population,
Hmm.
and that is still influencing our economical behavior right now. And because Latvians are still like they hate loans and they're still like not taking any loans. I think we are one of the lowest levels of credit issuance in Europe. So
Really?
that is what yeah, take into account that this big depression in Latvia led us to be more reluctant to take loans. And as you know, if you want to be like international company, you need capital and you need to grow, and in order to grow, you need loans. So therefore, I
Yes.
think that led us that we are right now in some kind of like economically sort of limbo status when we are like developing, but not at a pace what is is what we can do actually. Yeah, I think that's not the right pace. We can do much more better than we are doing right now. But I think despite these challenges, Latvia has seen a remarkable growth in certain sectors. Over the past decade, particularly in information and communication technologies. I previous this interview actually checked what is the growth for the last 10 years in ICT sector. So the growth is 165%,
In Latvia,
and
just in
it's
Latvia or the European
no just
Union?
no just in Latvia. So this makes ICT sector in Latvia of the one of the most, I think, dynamic sectors right now in economy. And our economy is service oriented, but yeah, ICT is and financial services. It's a big part of those services. Yeah. What else?
So you are essentially just kind of in the same boat as you were after the 2008 financial crash. So after that crash, you saw different problems and you saw how each of the industry kind of had to take a different approach to grow. And so you're saying that Latvia now is actually in that similar phase. Although they're not facing much of a crisis, it's just because of the many industries that are growing over there. That's why your company or people that are just building these companies, they have to take a different approach to tackle problems in Latvia's economy. That's from
Yeah,
what I'm understanding in this.
yeah. I think one of the actually that's a good thing and bad thing. Latvia is a small country, and the
Yes.
good thing is that we are small. We need to think globally. We need to think how can we develop our companies and serve something outside Latvia to give some value added product services outside Latvia, and that is like a mindset what the Latvians are slowly, because Estonians, as you know, Estonians have this mindset for a long time right now, and that's why they
Yeah.
have like seven unicorns or eight unicorns. I don't know how many there are now, but their mindset starting from the Skype, the Skype, which was a like an online
Yeah,
chat.
it was basically
And
like Zoom just a
yeah,
long
yeah,
time
yeah.
ago. Yeah.
So that started for the Estonians. That started all the change in the thinking that we need to do something more in order to globally compete. And in Latvia, I see that slowly industry is also moving towards that because we have right now for first unicorn Printful, and that a lot of guys are trying to do and building up different companies and thinking globally in global perspective. So that I think is really good thing which is happening right now in Latvia.
Have you witnessed people go to Latvia to pursue a startup visa or something?
You mean startup with in Estonia
Startup visa. Yeah, I
or
believe in Latvia's. Yeah, I believe I was watching a video yesterday about that, and that's how people were talking about how Latvia was a growing, growing sector, especially in the European Union. Many people were moving for startup visa. So that's why I'm wondering, have you witnessed that actually firsthand.
I haven't heard that many people are using those startup visas. I'm not sure that it's picking up right now, but if we talk about Estonians, they already had like this e-residence, and you can apply
Yes,
for the
yeah.
e-residence. So that was pretty cool stuff, and I think it was pretty successful in Estonia. But in Latvia. I think it's a new thing. Maybe let's see how it will evolve itself and how it will what's the result will be after I don't know 6 months, 12 months. Let's see. But
Mhm.
but currently I'm not hearing that there's like a big boom of startups
Yeah.
coming here because of the startup with
Yeah, obviously, but it's just the sense of if people were to go to like those Baltic countries for to pursue a startup or to find new locations, Estonia would probably be one the very first location that's trending. And then Latvia, I don't know where Latvia will follow under that because I'm not too familiar with the how to set up business in the Balkan regions. But from what you are talking about is because
Baltic
there are many
Baltic
growing.
Baltic region. Sorry, Harris, I interrupted you. I just wanted to correct you. Not the Balkan. Balkan region is
Sorry, yeah, but no, I meant to Baltic. Yeah,
Baltics.
Balkan
Yeah,
is with
Baltic.
where Yugoslavia once
Yeah, yeah,
was. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I
Sorry.
meant to. If I in my head I said Baltic, and then my mouth
All
probably
right, all right.
said
No
different.
worries. No
I'm
worries.
sorry.
No worries.
Oh, yeah. So back to
Yeah.
my point. Back to my point. Yeah. So I'm not too familiar with those countries about how to set up business there, but in terms that Estonia is number one, and hopefully Latvia may catch on, depending really on what really they specialize in. Because I know this isn't a Baltic. Actually, maybe they are. Is Poland Baltic? I don't think so.
No, Poland is not Baltic, but Baltic states are. Yeah, the definition is a little like blurry and sometimes
Because I
Estonians are
know,
saying that sometimes Estonians are saying they are not Baltic states, but they are Scandinavians, and sometimes like they say
yeah,
they are
no,
Baltics. So, but definitely Latvia is Baltics, and also Lithuania is Baltics. But
Lithuania and Belarus,
yeah,
or is
yeah,
Belarus different?
no, Belarus is not Baltics. No, Belarus is a part of. We all were part of the Soviet
Oh,
Union, but
Soviet,
but
yes.
but we recognize Belarus more as a Russian controlled area than as a Baltics. Baltics is
Yes.
it's a Baltic Sea, right? It's called Baltics because it's a Baltic Sea, and Baltic Sea is surrounded by Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, Finland, Sweden, and yeah, Finland and Sweden, and
So
and
actually,
also
now
actually
that you mentioned
actually
Finland,
Denmark.
Denmark is also considered, even though it's kind of east.
It's there. It's not a it's the Baltic Sea is the Denmark is next to the Baltic Sea, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not a geographical wizard, but let me check it out. But I believe those countries are not recognized as Baltic countries, but usually Baltic countries are Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania.
Yes, okay. But now that you actually mentioned Finland, so after the financial crisis in 2008, they had kind of had this similar approach to what you are talking about right now. So after that, what the government wanted the people to do was innovate, just innovate. And if essentially that's actually how they became sort of quote unquote the happiest country in the world because they found so many different solutions to different types of problems that they had, whether it was the economical problem. Many of the small businesses really decided to expand there. And yeah, that's really how Finland became not a powerhouse because geographically they're not the best, but even then, if you were to talk about maybe the best education and the best and one of the best healthcare systems in the world, Finland would be up there. Although that's kind of a tangent I'm talking about. We're not here to talk about Finland. But honestly,
Yeah.
last thing I would say, or not last thing, I was another question I would ask is how would you assess the overall business environment in Latvia? Because are there like specific aspects of the regulatory economic landscape that impact your business, for example, or just
Mhm.
anyone that sets up business in Latvia?
I think the overall business environment in Latvia is generally favorable, and I think there is like doing business. I don't know if it's magazine, but there are always like this rating doing business, and Latvia is I think in maybe in second place in the world because our starting
Wow.
business here is relatively straightforward. You can typically register companies in a few days, which is a significant advantage. And
Is
yeah,
that
that
why
that is
the
one.
startup visa might be a bit of a more of a trend because it's easy to register?
Could be maybe. I don't know. I haven't like made my I don't know. I haven't looked into how long it is in other countries, but I think in Latvia it takes like yeah, in a week I think you can register a company. Um, what else? Tax environment. I think that is what is being like set out from like OECD, those organizations that we have actually pretty good tax environment because we don't have like a corporate income tax. We have only
Yeah.
if you are reinvesting your profits into the company, you don't need to pay like corporate income tax. Only if you are like taking the money out and paying dividends, then on those dividends you need to pay tax. That is something similar as in Estonia, and Latvia also has that. So as I remember, Estonia has the first best tax environment, company tax environment, and Latvia has the second in the world. So that is like a also big benefit for certain companies, and therefore many chooses Latvia to instead maybe for Lithuania because of the corporate
Mm.
tax system. Uh, Direct taxes, I think, meaning personal income tax and social contributions, they are like relatively high here, and they could be lower. And I think lower direct taxes will stimulate a bit more economical activity because people will have more money and they can spend something, and that could be like one good thing what the government could do in Latvia here.
Yeah.
Uh, but overall process of doing business in Latvia, I think it's relatively smooth and favorable. Yeah. Yep. The only maybe if somebody is looking on Latvia as a way to extend their market or yeah, to do some business here for the local population or for the local companies, you need to anticipate that the market size is not very large. Our population is just like 2 millions, and as I previously told you, that is from one side it's a benefit because we have this global mindset, but on another side, the market is just really tiny.
Is the
So yeah,
productivity in Latvia really is it high productivity rate?
I productivity rate, I think it's pretty average,
Yeah.
but it's pretty average. I cannot say it's like higher than other countries, but the work ethics, I think that's something to mention that I need to mention because work ethics is for people which are working and maybe um, like white collar jobs. I think it's
Yes.
relatively good work ethics.
Was
That's I don't know. I don't know about the blue collars. Maybe there are also, but I can definitely say about those people which work in financial services, IT sector, etc.
I don't know because I remember in Collision there were some cool startups from Latvia. Like from what I remember, there was the motorcycle. Well, I forgot the name.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about because there's a whole booth
yeah,
like
yeah,
there's a whole booth of
yeah,
you. So
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
just
It
remember it was
is.
cool. There was pretty cool things you can really say. So actually, it leads to my next point actually. So like, how much is how much impact does technology influence on the industries in Latvia? Are there certain innovations or trends that you believe are shaping the future of Latvia?
Yeah, of course, AI. AI
Obviously,
is obviously it's I don't know if it's a bubble or not because there are different opinions on that. Right now,
so okay,
it's
so the what I mean from here is that okay, so AI is global. It's really changing the world at a rapid pace. I know in Poland, which was the point I was making earlier, in Poland they specialize in VR, gaming, and I
okay.
believe IT as well. So they're actually utilizing those industries to boost their economy and make innovations for on a global sense. So I'm kind of wondering what is Latvia kind of doing? And yeah, so how is Latvia kind of using technology to shape the future of their country? So continue on that, please.
Yeah, as I told you, we have previously. I told you we have these print-on-demand companies. One is Printful, the other one is Printify. Then we have these newcomers which are doing not print on demand, but also on demand economy. When they are providing to other like merchants, they are providing ability to not to have their own like stocks because usually merchants they're buying like a lot of goods and they're just stacking them up in their stock and right now we see more and more companies coming from Latvia that they are like providing on demand. They can manufacture and produce those goods on demand, and then they are linking with APIs. They're linking with the merchants. Therefore, the merchants they do not to need to like spend like really high working capital on buying just those goods to stack up in the stock. They can do it like right away and just straight. That is one sector I think where I see we're doing some progress. The another one is I think fintech. We have a lot of payment
Hmm.
service providers here in Latvia. Also, we have like micro lending companies, a lot of micro lending companies which are actually global. Uh, Also on the how do you call that industry? We have this company Mintos, which is
Mentos?
providing Mintos.
Mentos. Okay, Mentos.
They're providing different investment opportunities for investors, as not in the stock market or bonds, but more they're selling like collateralized and uncollateralized debt. For example,
Okay, so banking.
like a banking, but
Yeah,
they are a little bit
the
less
investment
regulated.
bank.
They're still regulated, but they're a little bit less, not an investment bank, because we don't have like
Okay.
investment. Not there. What
That will
else?
change soon. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. You will get pretty nice returns on that investment. I think usually they're starting from 10% to 15%. But this is not an investment advice, so don't. What else we have? Mm, Maybe not so much we're doing in AI, but in virtual reality also. I don't know many companies in blockchain. We have a couple of companies which are pretty successful and doing great stuff in together with blockchain technology. Uh, yeah, I think. And right now is one really cool company called Talzi, which is doing an employer of record industry.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if
That
you
that's
specialize in recruitment, so I was kind of wondering. Yeah. So maybe you kind of have a have a part in the future of HR recruitment and that industry, right? So now I'm actually gonna ask you, so what is your experience with finding and retaining skilled talent in Latvia? And are there any notable trends in the labor market? So, okay, so you said they specialize in wood, and I forgot the other thing you mentioned. What was it? Wood
ICT and information communication
and yeah,
technologies. Yeah, yeah.
ICT. So
Mm-hmm.
are there any trends in those markets that businesses should be aware of while when it comes to talent?
Mm-hmm.
So I know you talked about
Yeah.
well, what Coding kind of does every day. So, but kind of go more on that.
Yeah. I think our experience in finding and retaining skilled talent in Latvia, what it has taught us that it requires actually a proactive approach, and simply posting a job ad on a site and waiting for talent to answer you, and it's rarely effective, and yeah, it's you need to be proactive. You need to talk with that talent. You need to meet with them, because they are not sitting and waiting, because they are not sitting and like searching the job ads and applying for the job. You need to look for the talent yourself proactively. So that is like a trend, what I see more and more in Latvia, that those job ads, they, of course, if you are a big company and you have a big brand and high brand awareness, then maybe it works. But for smaller ones, and especially for startups, it's sometimes hard to find that really qualitative talent. Then you need
Mhm.
to be proactive. You need to search in LinkedIn and try to understand which has the best like fit with your like values and what your company is doing, and you can get a lot of information from LinkedIn. So that is like a one
Yeah.
trend here in Latvia. But regarding us, I think we had done a pretty good job building a process how we are finding ourselves talent and approaching them, and it currently it works. I think pretty good.
Yes, I don't really see that. Like, I don't really see much of a difference compared to the West, really. So Canada, USA, it's really relatively the same
Mm,
thing. I
mm,
think other companies have been trying to enhance their recruitment strategies. So maybe, yeah,
mm,
you'd have a different approach from that. So that's interesting. And
mm.
the last
And
question
yeah,
I'm
and
going to ask you, or actually, we
just to know
continue.
one more, you asked me about the trends, yeah, what we are seeing, and actually that we are seeing in globally that more and more companies are looking for data scientists and also for machine learning specialists.
Yes.
It's because of the AI, and and
Mhm.
and they are like really high demand for those guys in the market. Less, I think what we see is that companies need less junior developers. Um, there will always be like a demand for really skilled developers, good engineers, like senior engineers. But currently, we see yet that more and more companies are looking for data scientists and machine learning specialists, less for the junior developers, but pretty stable is senior developers. Demand for senior developers. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, a previous podcast episode I had a data scientist on, and
All right.
with AI, yeah, with AI kind of taking over technology and many of the industries, we did talk about how essentially all data scientists are practically AI engineers. So when you because they have to look at the algorithms and analyze, especially how AI will kind of number one be put into ethical use and really
Yeah.
know analyze certain trends that the company can really take forward. So yeah, so data science is a need, but yeah, that's really all I can really say about that. And you mentioned that
Mm.
as well. So in Latvia, it seems that's pretty much, although Latvia was never behind compared to the West, they were never behind. It's just that they are like getting on par with what's there, especially with what limited resources you have. It's impressive, right?
You cannot say we
Impressive.
weren't behind because we were
No, I didn't
behind.
say, I didn't say, I didn't, oh, you were
No, but
behind.
I'm saying that we were behind because we were in we are like a previous country which were in the Soviet Union, and I still remember 1990s when I was traveling to Western Europe and what I saw there, and then when I came back to Latvia to Riga, I wanted to cry because the difference was so significant. All the buildings were like
Wait, so we're
it
going from like Western Europe now
yeah.
and going back to your home.
Yeah, yeah, in 1990s, that was like pretty hard thing, and because
Wow.
you visually you could see the big difference between the societies and between the all the buildings which how they are maintained and how much money does Latvia have. It was like a really big difference. But right now, when I'm right now traveling to Western Europe and coming back to Riga, no difference. I think some of the things are better in Riga in Latvia. Some of the things are better in Western Europe, but you cannot see any more so significant like difference between Western world and Western Europe and Eastern Europe.
Wow. I didn't know that. Well, kind of, I think after I believe, was it the Cold War? That's what it kind of had an impact around the companies or the countries around. So that would make sense why it would be behind
Of
for a
course,
couple decades, right? So
of
actually, yeah,
course.
the last question I'm really gonna ask you, has nothing to do with Latvia, it's more of a personal question for you. If you were to meet
All right.
yourself 5, 10, 20 years ago, what would be the biggest lessons you would teach yourself? I have to
Oh
ask
my
this for
God.
everyone because, yeah, although it could be very vague, but it's just you kind of have to limit it down to maybe like 3 points. 3 points. Three lessons you can give your younger self.
I think I will not be like really original here, and I think I would say myself that. It's really important in life. Consistency. It's really important. It's a key principle in order to be successful in life or in sports or in business. You need to have a consistency. You need to put in consistent work. You need to be disciplined. And I think that is one thing that is underestimated, and that consistent work will give you results. There are no like one day success stories or overnight success stories. You need to put in consistent hard work. The other thing I think is resilience. And this is something what I'm actually lately talking about uh, society right now, and the young kids, which is not doing any sports, because sports are teaching you how to be resilient
Yeah.
after the losses. Because if you are not doing sports, I don't know how kids teach themselves how you put up yourself, get back up, and do again, work again, and how they like, yeah, how
Well, there's
they
also
how
school. And there's multiple ways.
there is school, but can you yourself name one thing how you are dealing with the losses in the school? What's actually lost in the school? Because in sports, you know, if you're doing like team sports, there are two teams
Obviously.
playing against themselves. You are losing. You lost, and then you need to understand how to get back up quickly and do it again and again. So that comes back to my consistent work and
Yes.
resilience. I think that is underestimated also thing that you need to have resilience, because there will be in life a lot of, pardon my French, a lot of shit. There will be sometimes that somebody is betraying you. There will be sometimes that somebody is criticizing you. There will be a lot of bad stuff will happen in your life. So
Mm.
you need to learn how to put that aside and be resilient and after losses and get back and do your work again. So that I would name is the second thing. Hmm. What else?
That's all you need to say. That's all you need to say.
I think one last thing is mm, that is actually we had a really hard year at 2023, because 2023 was I would call it a year of uncertainties, because there were like central banks were increasing interest rates, and a lot of companies told that, all right, so we will just stop our R&D, we will not develop new things, we want to see what will happen in the future. So that hit us really hard, and I just recently we are doing these quarterly meetings with the team, and I had like a list of lessons learned, what we learned last year,
Yeah.
and uh, I think one of the things what I can mention there is that when it's big uncertainty, you need to trust your gut. You need to trust your intuition. How do you call it? Intuition? Yeah, intuition, I think.
Intuition, yes.
Yeah, you need to trust your intuition, brace for impact, and you need to understand that the good times will come. So you always need to believe that the good times will come and trust your intuition. So that is the third thing, what I would say. How long you say ago? 20 years ago, what I would say myself
It
to
does, yeah,
myself.
yeah. It's just however long you like, just the biggest lessons you learn. And apart from that,
Yeah.
actually, if someone were to go up to you and say, "I want to do business in Latvia," what's the one thing you would tell them?
What kind of business you want to do?
Or fine, let's say fine. I'll be more specific, obviously. Let's say in the ICT sector.
Go for it. I would say go for it because Latvia has a lot of talent, a lot of smart people. It's because maybe it's because in the Soviet Union we had like really good engineering schools, and somehow that those schools have transferred all the knowledge to right now to nowadays what is teach in the schools, and as I already told the people here, good work ethics, and if you want to build something and build it maybe with less money than you could do that in Canada or especially in US, go for it. You can always find talent here, and after I don't know, you have built your product, your stuff, you can always transfer that product to other markets.
Obviously, yeah. So that's all my questions. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't know how many listeners do you have for this podcast
Well,
usually?
I actually don't really say this during the episodes, but I will because I will now because you asked me this question. So for per episode, it depends actually on what is or like what the content is. So maybe for this, I get all the population of Latvia. Who knows? No, joking.
Nice.
But normally, so over, I've had at least like 5,000 listeners, and then not for each episode, like overall, and then each episode I think at least had like 50 listeners.
Nice. That's actually good numbers.
Or for average, yes. And I've
Yeah.
been doing this for quite some time, although I need to be I still need to put more content out. So yeah, eventually it could get to that point, but that's the numbers right now.
No, I think the questions were really thoughtful, and I really enjoyed our talk and discussion. So maybe one more
Oh yeah,
question.
how
What
many? Okay, actually, oh yeah, you're asking the questions now.
do you know what Canadians are thinking about Latvians in general, or they are not thinking about Latvians? What's
So
the
number one,
perception? What's the
Canadians.
perception? What's the perception of Latvians in Canada? Maybe that is the correct question.
Yeah, that's a good question because we're not Americans. We know what Latvia is. We know Latvia is in the Baltic. I said it right this time.
Yeah, correct.
Where you know it's in the Baltic. What we really think. Oh, that's a really good question because we don't think that much about the Baltic countries. What we normally think about Western, no, East, yeah, no, Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe is Ukraine, Russia. So we'll just think you kind of are like kind of like little brothers to that country, to those countries.
All right. Uh, that is not incorrect. That is correct.
Yeah, that's all. Apart from that, yeah, I know the capital of Latvia is Riga.
Yeah,
I know it's 2 million people.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's already a lot.
apart from what we think of Latvians isn't it's not good or bad. So it's more good than bad. because we're
Okay.
Canadians, we're nice.
Do you prefer hockey or basketball?
That's a good question. I would say basketball, but I love hockey too.
Right. That's all for me. I don't have any more questions.
Yeah, so yeah, I could realize, yeah, Latvia is good at hockey and basketball too, right? Or basketball is just Porzingis.
Yeah, yeah, we are. Yeah, just I think tomorrow we will have our qualification for Olympics. Our hockey team will play against Ukraine, France, and Slovenia to compete and get a place in Olympics next year.
Wow. Yeah. Canada being a hockey juggernaut, so I don't think they have to worry about that. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, I was gonna ask, how many languages do you know?
I know three languages: Latvian, English currently, and Russian.
And Russian, okay.
Because
How did you think of Canada actually when you first came? Or not when you first came, when you came back in Toronto and 2 months ago.
I
How did you like
actually love
Canada?
Canada. I think Canada is a bit similar to Latvians because I have maybe you don't know. I think Latvia has. I think Canada has second largest. How do you call it? Uh, like I don't
Landmass?
know. Second biggest part of army is located in Latvia for Canada because we have a lot of Canadians here, Canadian soldiers.
Military bases? Oh wow, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah. So we have I think 1,000, something like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but there are a lot of here. And I have met a couple of those people, and I think they're pretty similar to Latvians because we have like a similar taste, similar humor. And you are also like little brother to the US, and we are like little brother always to I don't know, Russia, Germany, and other countries near to us. So yeah, I think we are pretty similar, and also the weather is similar.
Yeah, yeah, it probably gets cold in Latvia, right?
I think it gets colder in Canada because our we have pretty mild winters,
Yeah, you're
and
also a smaller country.
we are also a smaller country. That's correct. That is the difference. Yeah, but from personality side, I think we are pretty similar.
You're very hospitable. Yeah, maybe one day I can visit Latvia. Should be nice.
Yeah, you should try here, and it's beautiful. But in summer, don't
For
come in
people
winter.
listening, if you're a big travel people, maybe you should try Latvia and Girts can show you the way.
Yeah, yeah. Come here, try Latvia, but do it in summer. So yeah, May, June, July, August, those are the months you want to come La in Latvia. It's super beautiful here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's really it. And are you sure you have no questions?
I could have a lot of questions. I don't know how much time do we have?
If there's anything you want to get off your chest, just talk.
I don't know. I don't know. What's the tech situation right now in Canada? Do you know what's the environment there? What's the latest trends? Because in at the beginning of summer when I visited Toronto, there was I had a feeling that somehow the tech scene is a little bit slowing down. How
So
does right now?
So actually, that's a very interesting point because so the one thing I actually will say is that Canada doesn't really foster innovation and the innovative culture as much as USA does. And unfortunately
Hmm.
with a lot of Canadians actually it's been a trend. So Canada is one of the I wouldn't say like smartest countries in the world, but I would say the education in Canada is very is it's up there. It's one of the best in the world, right? And a lot of people want to do with this education is that when they produce great talent, unfortunately, a lot of people actually want to move to the USA because there's higher salaries
Okay.
and people people unfortunately there's not I feel that in Latvia is like you guys have like that sense of culture. In Canada that sense of culture is losing, and unfortunately with because of that not many people are really innovating and the tech scene. So it's getting better, I can say, with because Collision, you were in there for Collision, so most of the startups are Canadian. So people are trying, but in terms of right now, excuse me, in terms of right now, like really, it's that there's a productivity issue and there's a sense of culture issue. So, but
Mm,
people when they get their degrees or when they become very skilled, they either move out of it because of how living conditions have been in Canada recently. And in
mhm,
terms of fostering innovation, a lot of the times it's really always been the same. They don't really foster innovation as much as USA does, and really that's why you could say when you go there, you don't seem that there is that innovation culture that there once was. Especially maybe what you're talking about a background in Latvia, but I'm talking about a guy as someone that grew up in Canada, born and raised here. And I'm not
mhm.
that old to really tell you about the trends have back in like 1999. Like, no, I can't really do that. So
Okay.
so I can only really tell you what I really noticed, especially with the government, especially when you look at really smart or really skilled Canadians or even famous Canadians. You probably know guys like Justin Bieber, The Weeknd, Drake. Like those are singers,
Drake.
but think about those guys. Now spend most of their time in USA because USA really is that culture that you can really have multiple careers or not multiple careers. You can have any career you'd like and you can make it out, make anything of it once you're big. Canada doesn't really have that much. Canada essentially really was supposed to be more employee heavy, like employee favored. That's why
Mm,
it's not really that much of an innovation hub as you can say. However, it is
mm,
changing, hopefully.
mhm. All right. All right. Good. Good. All right.
What I
I
would like
think
to
that's
see a
it.
change is really a lot of what really the problems are. So right now, this more government issue related things. There's a there's a housing crisis in Canada. I'm not sure if you heard of that. There's
I
also
heard of that.
a what do you call it? There's also immigration is very disorganized. The projects in Canada are very slow in progress. Like, so housing projects, construction projects, they're very slow. It takes them anything that could probably take maybe a year in Latvian standards. I'm just saying Latvia. Could probably take 10 years. I don't in Canada. It's very slow. And
Mm,
the union labor work is very slow, yes.
mm, mm. Look, each country has their own problems, but yeah, I have
Obviously,
heard
yeah.
about those problems because again, Latvia is a small country. We need to look. We are looking. Our politics are too boring, so we are always like watching what is happening outside Latvia. So I follow all the what Justin Trudeau is doing and what kind of problems in Canada is and what's in US, what's in Russia, what's in Israel, and etc. Yeah, we need to be
Palestine.
global. That means need to be global, and therefore we are also impacted. We are a small country, and all the things which are happening in Europe and all over the world is impacting us directly. For example,
Okay.
last COVID crisis, it was I think our inflation was one of the highest in the world. We had like 20 something percent inflation.
Wow.
So
Wow, that is large.
that is.
I can't imagine if Canada got there. I don't even know what I would do.
Somehow we survived and keep going.
Well, that's why you need innovation, right? To find
Yeah,
solutions.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, if that's all you have, then thank you, Girts, for taking your time out of your day to be on this podcast, and I really
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Harris.
Is there any final regards you want to say to the people listening?
No, I think thank you for inviting me here and discussing all those things. Usually, I'm not thinking from that perspective about those things like daily. So that was a good chance again to like uh, uh, wrap my head about the things we talked about today. So thank you for the listeners. As Haris told, come to Latvia. If you want to have a guide, I will guide you through Latvian summer and tell you what's the best places to visit. But other than that, thank you for listening to me and Haris.
Yeah. Okay, so this is it for the All Facts podcast, this episode. And if you'd like to follow Gertz on LinkedIn or anything, just see what kind of he's building, I will drop in the description below. And yeah, this is the All Facts podcast. I'm Haris Vikar, and we're out.